Broadway Balances America, brought to you by Broadway across America, bringing the best of Broadway to a city near you.
Time now for Broadway Balances America, our series that takes you behind the scenes of some of the most beloved Broadway musicals as they appear across the country in your local theaters.
That's right, and today is a true Broadway blockbuster, Miss Saigon, the story of a courageous young Vietnamese woman who falls in love with an American GI during the last days of the Vietnam War.
Miss Saigon has been performed in 32 countries, over 360 cities, in 15 different languages, has won over 70 awards, including 3 Tony Awards, and it's been seen by over 36 million people worldwide since its opening performance.
My goodness, that's fantastic. And as Amber Milt found out, the story has never been more relevant.
Thanks, ladies. This new production is grittier. It's more realistic, and with its timely subject matter, it resonates with audiences across the globe. And for the first time in 17 years, audiences across America are going to get to experience this epic love story for themselves, right from their own city. In the last days of the Vietnam War, 17-year-old Kim is forced to work in a Saigon bar run by a notorious character known as the Engineer. There, she meets and falls in love with an American GI named Chris, but inevitably, they are torn apart by the war and the ultimate fall of Saigon.
Miss Saigon follows the story of a young 17-year-old girl who's orphaned through the Vietnam War. And it follows her journey through trying to survive and trying to make it out of Vietnam as Saigon is falling and as the GIs are leaving. And along the way, she meets a GI who she falls in love with, and they have a child together. He does not know because he's pulled out of Saigon very unexpectedly. It follows her fight for survival and everything that she'll do for her child. So it's a love story between her and Chris, but also between her and her child.
I know as long as I can keep believing.
20-year-old Emily Bautista is taking on the challenging and breathtaking role of Kim in the national tour. She understudied the role during the show's Broadway revival.
Still really hasn't hit. I mean, it has, but it's also like me trying to go with the flow and go with the punches and go with everything, because it's been really incredible. And I'm just so honored to be able to now tell this story. This production really tackles the most raw and real side of the Vietnam War. We started off our rehearsal process watching documentaries, and the scenes that we saw in the documentaries were the scenes that were in this show. And it was the prostitutes and the GIs. They're not easy scenes to watch, but it does show the struggle that people went through during this war. We'll run the nightmare scene, which is the GIs leaving. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot from the whole cast to really emotionally give yourself over to that.
To celebrate the launch of the new national tour, Emily had the honor of sitting down with Lea Salonga and Eva Noblezada, who portrayed the role of Kim in the original Broadway production and the most recent Broadway revival, respectively.
Lea Salonga is someone I've looked up to my whole entire life, just in every aspect, being such a strong, independent woman that has made an amazing career for herself. And then Eva's been one of my really great friends since the Broadway production, and she's always had my back. So getting to talk to them about Kim and getting to learn from them and watch them over the years, it's just been such a blessing. They are so supportive and just have so much wisdom to share.
Kim is not the only strong female of Miss Saigon. Jackie Wynn plays one of the Dreamland dancers whose real-life story shows the delicate balance between art imitating life.
I want to make sure I do justice to the story, because this is something that actually happened, and it happened to my family. My mom was 17 when the war began. She married an American GI, and I have 3 half-brothers, and so who are a product of the war. And so this is actually a direct correlation from Miss Saigon to my own family's history. And some of the scenes are very raw. What we want as actors to do is to do justice to those people, especially my family. And I want to be able to explain and to act and to be able to show more emotions and more vulnerability on stage. And our director, Laurence Connor, has done such an amazing job of asking that from us and being fearless.
We wanted to not pull our punches. We wanted to be very clear that the narrative is a real one, and that in order to understand and to really see the journey and difficulties and hardships of these people, we need to tell it honestly.
While Kim goes on an epic journey of survival to find her way back to Chris, the American GI returns home where he marries and is left unaware of the life he left behind. Stacie Bono plays Chris's wife Ellen on the national tour. She must balance the intricacies of her relationship and future with Chris and his past with Kim.
Here's a woman that has given her life to help her husband heal from the horrors of the war, and she trusts him implicitly and loves him unconditionally, only to find out that he's been lying to her their entire relationship. And so it's a challenge to really give her the strength that she deserves, while also embodying her with warmth and compassion and understanding and forgiveness, which I think she also has.
For life until we die.
The two women express their heartache against the backdrop of one of Broadway's most beautiful, award-winning scores.
For Ellen, I still believe we find her struggling with her husband's recurring nightmares, what we now know to be PTSD from the Vietnam War. But through the song, she expresses her hope and belief that he will heal from this and they will be able to have a happy, healthy marriage with nothing in between them.
This brilliant new production magnifies the power and epic nature of Bublé and Schoenberg's tremendous score, and it features the original dazzling choreography by Bob Avian. Director Laurence Connor promises the most iconic scenes will astound audiences.
When you go to see Miss Saigon, you are taken on a journey. It's like opening a window and watching other people's lives, and it's because it's real, because it's honest, because you see a helicopter and you see things that you wouldn't ordinarily see in musicals. It's powerful, and I think that's the secret to the success, because you can't tell this story unless you are an incredible actor, an incredible singer, and I think it deserves every accolade that it's ever received.
Miss Saigon continues to be an audience favorite, and the new touring production will carry its legacy across America, honoring the spirit of the Broadway blockbuster musical.
And actually seeing a show of that scale on the road, like a true Broadway show in all of its glory, coming to your city, coming near you, is just one of those things that you can't miss.
We have done so much work in trying to make it as authentic and as real. We've added lots of Vietnamese words, lots of Vietnamese traditions, and we're really hoping that we can spread authenticity around the United States. And I hope that audiences come and they get to experience that, especially those who are Asian American.
This production is going to be absolutely spectacular in terms of visuals and effects, and the famous helicopter is going to be there. And I hope they're moved by this story and by these compelling performances. And if that movement inspires a little more tolerance for other people or more compassion for other people, I think that would be a beautiful thing.
Come see the show and get ready for it'll take you on an emotional roller coaster. It's a beautiful story that shows that there is love in the most broken of places, and there is hope and there's joy, and as well as hardships. But I think it's a very important story that a lot of people should see.
The North American tour of Miss Saigon is coming soon to a theater near you. Check out Broadway Across America, or you can always go to our website, thebalancingact.com, for all the show information, tour dates, and more. For behind-the-scenes access to Anastasia, Andrew Lloyd Webber's School of Rock, Come From Away, Miss Saigon, Cats, go backstage with Broadway Balances America. Get an inside look at your favorite shows before they come to a city near you.